Hello Rebels and welcome back to my life. It's Tolkien Tuesday, the day that we talk about J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, and the Lord of the Rings books and films and any exciting real-life happenings going on in the realm of Middle-earth. We started the story of Melkor, the most powerful and most evil of the Valar, the gods on Middle-earth. And last we saw him, he had just discovered the Elves and tortured a bunch of them into Orcs. So what happened next? Well, it wasn't too long before the rest of the Valar found out what Melkor had been up to, and when they did, they were a little pissed off. They pressed forward with all of their strength, which was quite a lot of strength, and fought a new war against Melkor. Eventually, they defeated him, captured him from his stronghold, and brought him back to their home in chains. Melkor was put on trial and found guilty, obviously, and he was sentenced to spend 3 ages of the world within the halls of Mandos. Mandos was another one of the Valar, and his halls were where the dead went to await whatever came next, basically the first stage of the afterlife. You might remember that the world used to be lit by 2 great lamps, and that Melkor destroyed them. When the lamps were gone, the world needed a new source of light, so the Valar sang 2 trees into existence, one silver and one gold. Those trees corresponded to night and day, respectively, and during this time, the length of an entire day was divided into its hours, with each tree given about half of the available time to light the world. Meanwhile, now that the Valar knew where the Elves were, they went and got almost all of them and brought them to their home in Valinor. Some stayed behind, and they were called the Sindarin, but we won't talk about them for a long time. The Elves in Valinor formed into 3 great peoples, and one of these peoples was called the Noldor, and they eventually produced an elf called Feanor. Please remember his name, he's actually very important. Feanor was the greatest craftsman in the history of the world, before or since, and his highest achievement was the crafting of the Silmarils, 3 gorgeous gems that absorbed the light of the 2 trees of Valinor. Now after all of this, when Melkor's prison sentence was up, he pleaded that all of his evil was done now and he was going to be good, and Manwë, the chief of the Valar, didn't really understand lying yet. Remember, the world was very young, so he said, okay, you're free to go, bro. And for a while, Melkor seemed to behave really well, but actually he started whispering in the ears of the Noldor, because while they were mighty warriors and great craftsmen, they were also maybe just a little prideful. See, the Valar made one big mistake when they helped the Elves build their kingdoms and their power. They didn't tell the Elves about the forthcoming arrival of men. So Melkor was the one to tell the Elves instead, and he didn't exactly make it sound like a good thing. So the Noldor began to suspect the Valar of betraying them, thinking that they were using the Elves to set the world up, and then the Elves would be kicked out and the world would be handed over to men. Feanor was chief among the Elves, speaking against the Valar, but when his brother Fingolfin disagreed with him, Feanor threatened Fingolfin with violence, so the Valar summoned Feanor to their court to be judged by them. However, when Feanor told them everything that had happened, the Valar finally understood what Melkor had been up to all this time. But when they went to find and capture Melkor, he was nowhere to be found, and then later he approached Feanor in secret, acting all buddy-buddy, but really just trying to steal the Silmarils. But Feanor, though not a fan of the Valar, still knew what Melkor was up to, and basically told him to piss off. Melkor traveled south where he found a giant spider called Ungoliant. Together, Melkor and Ungoliant approached the Trees of Valinor, and when nobody was looking and they were all busy having a festival, they struck. Melkor cut open the trees, and Ungoliant drank the sap that poured out until the trees were dead. Now, despite everything else we've already discussed, this was considered the darkest deed that Melkor ever committed, but there's even more to come, which will have to be in another video. Thank you so much for watching today. An extra special shout out to my supporters on Patreon who make all of my YouTube videos possible, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye! Hey Patreon patrons, there's a bonus exclusive video coming later today. Keep an eye on your email inbox. Okay, bye!